Welcome to the Urban Angle. Your city, your fish, your experience. With your host, David Kearney. Join us as we explore the opportunities, obstacles, and rewards urban fishing has to offer. And now your host, David Kearney.
So are we on now? Are we good?
Hey, we're back. It's 2016. I hope everyone had a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I hope everyone had a safe and joyous one. Welcome back to the Urban Angle. We're looking forward to what 2016 has to offer. You know, I don't often make New Year's resolutions, but if I was to make one this year, it would be to fish more. I really am looking forward to getting out and doing a lot more fishing with friends and family, and even just getting out by myself, exploring my city a little bit more, finding out what's working, what's changed, what's different. That's the joys about urban fishing. It's not far to go, and you get to experience so much in such a short period of time. Our guest this week on the Urban Angle is a GTA local fishing guide. He's a tournament angler. He's CEO, founder, and host of Fear Fishing. You can find out more about him at fearfishing.com. We're speaking about Ian West. Let's welcome to the show Ian West from Fear Fishing. Welcome to the Urban Angle, Ian.
Hey, man, it's great to be on here. This is really exciting, and it's pretty cool to do somebody else's show for once.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to speaking with you. So, why don't you tell our listeners what Fear Fishing is all about?
Well, Fear Fishing is a multimedia company that I started in 2009, and it kind of just went together with the whole fishing bass tournament thing, and that, filming videos was the next step in that, because that's a great way to get people involved in fishing and seeing what's done instead of just the stereotypical of what people think fishing is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, I think when I meet most people and they ask, what do you do? And I tell them I fish, they think about, a couple guys in a tin boat drinking beer. That fish is kind of a bonus, and that's not the case at all.
It's evolved from that.
It has evolved from that, and fishing tournaments, or being a charter boat fisherman or a guide, it's a science behind it, not just a hobby, right?
Yeah, it's not just luck. You have to know what you're doing.
Absolutely. Especially I fish a ton of bass tournaments, and if you don't know what you're doing and you don't put your time in, you're just going to get beat up on the water.
Exactly. So you just put out Fear Fishing webcast number 7.
Number 7.
And in watching you guys look like you have a great time. I mean, how much fun is it to put on this webcast?
The webcast was kind of designed for us to be kind of our hobby in fishing. As I probably spent close to 250 days on the water this year, filming or pre-fishing for bass tournaments, or even just getting out to fish. And, the webcast was kind of like, well, we can pull this all together and, have a Sunday night or a Wednesday night break and sit down, have a couple beers and talk fishing.
It's a very similar attitude that we take to the radio show as well. Me and my friends, we get together, we have a few bevies, and we put together the show. At
the end of the day, if you're a hobbyist as an angler or a professional bass fisherman, it's still fishing. It's still supposed to be fun.
Yeah, exactly. And like I say, you guys look like you're having a great time. I have a great time watching you guys. So,
well, I really appreciate that, man. And we get a ton of feedback from viewers, and what viewers want to see and what viewers want to hear about. So feedback's awesome. I love talking about fishing, and in my social media accounts, I make sure that I answer every question that comes through and try to reply to everything that comes across my table.
And that's what helps make for a successful show.
Well, exactly. And, people maybe see the webcast and they're like, oh, he must be busy. But, I always have time to talk fishing. Pretty grassroots. I'm just a regular guy on the dock who just really, really likes to fish.
Really, really likes to fish. And
yeah.
Where did your passion for fishing come from?
Well, actually, if we take it back to the beginning, my family was huge into taking me fishing and letting me experience that growing up. And we used to go like after soccer practice or stuff like that. But I never had a boat or anything like that growing up as a kid. Mm-hmm. I think the passion in fishing started I don't know where it came from. There wasn't one real thing that got me into it. I do remember when I was about 8 years old, I saw Kevin Van Dam on TNN Outdoors fishing the Bassmasters, and ever since then, it was just been a driving urge to catch fish.
And you recently had bass fishing great Mike Iaconelli on your show. How did you manage to secure Mike for an interview?
Well, I'm a huge fan of his show too, and anybody who likes our webcast will love the Ike live show, and you can check that out at MikeIaconelli.com. But it was just kind of one of those things where I met a couple guys who are on his webcast as part of his crew, and we got chatting, and I threw it out there if Ike wanted to do the show, and Mike was actually, the day I asked, Mike did it the same day. He jumped right on board, and it was an amazing interview and an amazing opportunity, and one of those things on my bucket list that that I got to do. I got to talk to Ike, and I got to ask him questions.
We'll be right back with more Urban Angle.
Kitefish quality flies are hand-tied to perfection. Visit us at www.kitefish.com for our complete line of products, including flies, beads, and promotional offers at fantastic prices. Use the code RADIO1 to get free shipping and no tax on your next order. That's www.kypefish.com.
Castle Rock Outdoor Marketing. We're here to help put your business on the map. At Castle Rock, we specialize in marketing for outdoor companies. No company is too big or too small for Castle Rock Outdoors Marketing. Contact us at castlerockoutdoors@gmail.com. Find Castle Rock Outdoors on Facebook and on Twitter at Castle Rock Media. Castle Rock Outdoor Marketing.
Welcome back to the Urban Angle.
You get the opportunity to speak to some great anglers like Mike Iaconelli, and you recently had JP DeRose and Dave Mercer on your live show.
Yeah.
These are the highs of hosting this type of show, but there must be challenges you face when producing the podcast. Tell us about those challenges.
It's not easy to talk for 2 hours. As much as people think, I'll just sit down and I like to talk about fishing. After doing 7 or 8 of these, and you got to talk the whole time, that's the biggest challenge, coming up to things to talk about all the time, and not only things to talk about, but things that people are interested in hearing about. There's no point in going on and doing a webcast that nobody wants to listen to. So I guess the hardest part is, my crew does a ton of research to come up with topics and, cutting edge guests who, people really want to hear from. And we never really ask questions, relating to, how to catch a fish or stuff like that. We want to know about the person we're interviewing. And Iaconelli was an exceptionally deep guy. And he's kind of known for his antics and, other stuff. But when we got talking to him, he's really deep. And he's one guy who really cares about the sport of fishing to grow.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And have you seen that the sport of fishing is growing?
Absolutely. I think fishing is, especially in Ontario, is growing in the last 6 months in a noticeable way, let alone in the last 5 years.
Yeah, because all the stats prior to 2010, they had fishing on the decline. Right
I think maybe
board.
I think fishing is just changing and it's evolving, and there's a lot more young people fishing now than there ever was when I was a kid. I see way more kids out, at the fishing stores or, at the boat launches or even in tournaments. And everybody I knew who was my age who fished, I could name in one hand when I was a kid. But they're everywhere now. Yeah, fish heads are showing up everywhere.
The urban fishing is really becoming popular. Like, I live in Toronto, and
Yep.
It's a noticeable difference. Like, driving down the street, you see guys walking with rods. You go on the TTC, you see guys with rods.
With the evolution of YouTube and social media, more people are getting to see fishing in a different light. And fishing is now becoming, the cool thing to do. Whereas when I was in high school, I fished all the time, but I was like a closet fisherman. You didn't want girls to find out you're a fisherman and,
Fish nerd.
That's right. But now it's like the cool thing to do, right? There's all kinds of guys in mainstream sports who, are ending their careers in football, dirt biking, and they're going to fish professional bass tournaments because the competitive edge is there.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, fishing is one of those sports where, you know, you don't peak in your 20s. You peak later in life in the world of fishing.
Oh,
you get smarter and you get more patient.
Lesson fishing, you know.
That's right. Absolutely.
You never stop learning.
That's absolutely. So, you know, if you're 40 and fishing the Bassmaster Elite Series, you're not an old guy. You're right there in the mid pack.
So earlier in 2015, I was watching one of your videos, and you were harassed by locals at the Coburg Harbor.
Yep.
And you handled it with class. Like, I watched your video, and you know.
Thank you, my man.
You handled it the right way. Is this an issue that you face on a regular basis when you're out fishing?
Tournament fishing, you know, anybody who fishes tournaments has their horror stories about rolling up on docks and people getting upset. And, you know, there is, people shouldn't be firing their baits off people's boats and their docks. And if you do happen to snag a dock, you need to go get your hook, or if you snag a rock around dock, for kids don't get it in their feet. But some people are really good about it, and some people are really excited to see me pull up and catch a big fish off their dock. And I've had lots of cases where they came out and took pictures and, you know, talked about the lake that we're on. And then there's other guys who I've had people get in their boats and drive circles around my bass boat. So, you know, 90% of people I run across on the lakes, awesome, great to talk to, you know, how are you doing? Is there a tournament today? What time is the weigh-in? That kind of stuff. And there's a small percentage of them who just lose their minds. Mm-hmm. Which is their right too, right? I totally get their side of the thing, and maybe if I owned a dock and, you know, my canvas had been ripped on my boat, that I'd be angry too.
And was there an official response from the city of Coburg to this incident?
They didn't send it to me, but they put it in the paper, and that basically, if you have a boat and you're in the Coburg Harbor fishing, that there's nothing they can do. It's government water, and people are free to fish there. And from what I understand, there's been no more issues there since that video came out and the town released their official press
statement. Well, that's great. We need to do something like that here in Toronto, because I know several guides that have that kind of issue when they go into bluffers or ash bridges. You know. Yeah,
and it's just bullying, right? It's just bullying at their finest. They're just hoping that, you know, they are going to talk you out of being here. Mm-hmm. And it's not even, when I filmed the video, it wasn't even about me. It's about some, you know, kid who's down there trying to catch a fish, trying to stay out of trouble. We tell everybody that, you know, the kids of today, all they do is play video games. So I can't even imagine how some 14-year-old kid who pulls up there on his BMX bike and his fishing pole is treated, if that's how they were going to treat me on camera.
Speaking of kids playing way too many video games, I was one of those kids. Always stuck to the screen, playing too many video games, not getting out enough. But I did manage to play a lot of fishing video games when I was a kid.
Well, that's cool. And you know, there's balance, right? And even I have to find balance. I fish a lot, and if you ask my wife, we don't do anything in this house that isn't fishing related. And my brain works that, you know, I read a lot of like mainstream magazines, and, you know, I like clothing and stuff like that, things that people wouldn't associate with a fisherman. And I really like going out to, you know, cool places to eat dinner and stuff like that. But it all circles around, how can I relate this to fishing? That's my whole brain. So if you're playing video games and you can relate it back to fishing and that's your gig, then that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
We'll be right back with more Urban Angle.
Looking for a secure, rugged, and portable solution for your outdoor storage or transportation needs? StoreStack has your solution.
StoreStack!
You dream it, they build it. StoreStack is custom shipping container modification and portable building fabrication. Think StoreStack for all your fishing, hunting, and outdoor storage and transportation needs. Visit us at storestack.com. That's STORSTAC.com.
StoreStack!
Interactive, educational, and inspirational is what Fishing Frenzy is all about. We have developed a school program based off the outdoor curriculum to cater to the learning abilities of all elementary school grades. Our school program is about teaching the next generation about ethical fishing and protecting our environment in a positive way. Visit www.fishingfrenzy.com. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. That's Fishing Frenzy, friend with a ZY.
Bluefish Bluefish Stewardship Tips.
And now here's Lawrence Gunther with another Bluefish Stewardship Tip.
I'm Lawrence Gunther, and this is another Bluefish Canada Stewardship Tip. You know, in today's time and age, there's no excuse anymore not to know what the regulations are. Yeah, they can be a little bit complicated, but they're complicated for a reason. Different lakes face different pressures. Different lakes have different stocking programs. Different lakes have different species of fish. And each lake needs to be treated as an independent entity. I mean, a lot of these lakes are not connected to each other, so they are their own self-enclosed ecosystems. Follow the regulations, make sure you know what they are when you're going to that lake or river, and practice, sound conservation. Pay attention to what the biologists are saying. They're not just writing this stuff down for the fun of it. They're putting it in there to make sure those fish stocks will be around and they're sustainable. Hey, face it, folks, governments don't have endless deep pockets anymore, so they can just keep dumping new fish into the lakes for the put and take fisheries. Those days are over. They want to make sure that the fish populations that they establish are going to self-sustain, and that takes all of us to participate. Fish sustainably, watch the regs, understand what it means, and practice conservation. Remember, for the latest stewardship news, listen to Bluefish Radio.
Welcome back to the Urban Angle.
So besides the bass fishing tournaments, what other species of tournament do you fish for?
Well, I fish for everything. I'm like a fish junkie. I will fish for absolutely anything that swims. When I was growing up, I actually lived right on the Ganaraska River, and I didn't really get into bass fishing until my later teens. So like everybody else, I grew up fishing the rivers, fishing Chinooks and fishing steelhead. In the summertime, I'd fish carp in the Ganaraska River because I didn't have access to a boat. I've done the Toronto Islands thing for pike. So I will fish for anything at any time. If anybody is out there and on fish, you call me and I will come.
That's great. And so you fished the Toronto Islands. Did you have any success out there?
I did. It was a long time ago. It was probably when I was 14 or 15. And but yeah, we did catch some good pike out there. It is amazing how big those pike are in any of the harbors along Lake Ontario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Oshawa, Cobourg, Whitby, Bluffers. I'm sure that there's some gigantic pike hanging around.
There are, and with this weather being so mild, the guys are still out hammering on them.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, the co-host of the Fear Fishing webcast, Rich on the Street, is at the Bay of Quinte right now trolling for giant walleye in the dark.
Oh, he's very lucky. He's lucky.
Yeah, it never stops, man.
And so what's coming up next for Fear Fishing? What's the big plans for 2016?
Well, we're working on a new video series that we're going to bring out. The webcast is going to happen every 2 weeks as it did in 2015. So we're just going to continue that on. It's going to be a busy year for me personally and fishing bass tournaments. I'd like to get down to the States before our season opens up in June. And then when June comes, there'll be the new FLW Canada series to participate in. And pretty much whatever other tournaments come up along the way. I pretty much fish bass tournaments every weekend from the opener till sometime in October.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was looking at some of your accomplishments on the web, and for the last couple of years, you've really been steadily improving with your turnout there on your bass series that you're fishing.
Well, actually,
you're moving into the top 10s consistently.
Well, I won my first tournament in 2010, and then I had an accident on my job in 2012, and I almost cut my hand off.
Oh my God!
So I didn't fish in 2012 or 2013.
There's a construction accident?
No, I worked for a steel foundry in Port Hope here, and I pretty much severed the nerves in my hand. So I had a cast on of all 2012. In 2013, I just wasn't ready to fish yet. I was actually told in 2012 that I'd never fish again.
And did you find fishing was a therapy for you when you were able to get back to it?
At the beginning, it was like a nightmare. It was like my worst dream, nightmare had come true, and that I wasn't going to be able to fish. And it was a tough 2 years. And then I'd met my fiance, who's my fiance now. And, I was kind of on the verge of, it being over and coming to well, I just can't do this anymore. And she's the one who really urged me to, yes, you can. And then it kind of, I guess as soon as I get something in my head, I'm going to do it. And if I didn't play guitar, I taught myself, because I still have no feeling in 3 fingers of my left hand, my rod, like flipping hand. Mm-hmm. I taught myself to play guitar with muscle memory. And then I transferred that into, if I can play guitar, I can fish. Mm-hmm. And then that's just where it's at now. And now I guess I'm so used to it that it doesn't affect me while fishing at all now.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear that.
So yeah, people, the biggest thing I hear all the time is people not following their dreams and giving up. Mm-hmm. And if every time something bad happens in your life, you press through that and get past that, 10 people who weren't as strong as you quit. And that just makes you 10 people closer to your dreams. That's
good advice. That's good. That's a good way of
So don't
thinking.
give up. Anybody listen to this, don't give up. Anybody can accomplish anything. You just got to motivate yourself to do it.
That's right. That's a great message, Ian. Thank you for that. And how can people tune into Fear Fishing? Where can they get a hold of you?
Well, we're all over social media. You can add Fear Fishing Ian West page on Facebook, fear_fishing on Instagram. You can watch everything on fearfishing.com. And, my email's out there, or I answer all my Facebook messages. So if anybody wants to chat fishing, that's the place to find me. It's on the web.
And do you want to give a shout out to anybody?
You know what? Actually, I'm going to give a shout out to Brian the Carpenter, who's the producer on the Ike Live show, because we're having a Twitter battle right now. So I'm going to throw out there that we're coming, brother.
Well, that's fantastic, Ian. I want to thank you for joining us here on the Urban Angle, and we look forward to hearing more from Fear Fishing in 2016. All the best for the holiday season, and we much respect to you and your show. We really like listening here in Toronto.
Awesome, man. I'm really glad to hear that, and thank you for having me on. Any chance I get to talk fishing and spread the word about fishing, I'm more than willing to do.
Awesome. Thanks for that.
Talk to you soon.
All right. I want to thank our guest this week, Ian West from Fear Fishing. I really look forward to more Fear Fishing webcasts. Look them up today at fearfishing.com. I want to thank our sound engineer, Jeff Doner, and our editor and copywriter, Josie Dacris. Thanks to Lawrence Gunther for his Bluefish Stewardship Tips. And thank you to our listeners. I hope that you have a fantastic 2016. Be safe out there, especially all you hard water anglers. Stay safe on that ice. We want to hear about your urban angle. Drop us a line at theurbanangleradio@gmail.com. Join the conversation on Facebook at /theurbanangle. And follow us on Twitter at @theurbanangle. If you have missed any episodes, you can listen to this and every show on our YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, and share The Urban Angle with all your fishing peeps. Thanks once again for listening. Tune in next time to The Urban Angle.
If you like the show you're listening to right now, you can listen to it and many more just like it on Reno Viola Outdoors Radio. Fishing, hunting, boating, and the rest of the great outdoors 24/7, 365 on Reno Viola Outdoors Radio. Download the free Reno Viola Outdoors Radio app or visit wrvoradio.com online to see the lineup and schedule. That's Reno Viola Outdoors Radio, and enjoy the great outdoors.